Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Visible Kindness. If you've never been here before, I love to explore the transformational power of kindness and compassion and how they affect not only our individual lives, but our daily lives. And if you're like me, and I would say probably close to 100% of the planet these days, we all could use more kindness, and it covers everything from things that could be kindness to the grocery store lady that I did last week and posted, or it could be something huge that impacts your community or impacts your state or your province if you're from Canada, where I'm originally from, or literally the rest of the world. And I believe that kindness, acts of kindness, can take an effect in its own way, in its own trail. And so I'm always excited to have new guests, and today I have Teresa Ramirez with me. And I always say this because I love what my guests do. Everything's about kindness. And what she does is she has an organization called Journey in Kindness. And she encourages loving parents. And I would have to say loving parents is the only kind of parents you want to encourage. If they're not loving parents, you need to get them anyways. But she encourages loving parents how to raise their children to make them happy, healthy, kind, and so that they can make a change in the world. And now that is a small sentence that has a huge impact when it comes to being parents in today's world. Oh my gosh. And not only in today's world, but with so much change that's happening, literally with a new president coming in. And that's something I don't talk about because that's not my topic. But I want to welcome you to Teresa Ramirez. And Teresa, it would be great if you just introduce yourself and tell us something about yourself. What do you like? And it's really nice to have you on the show.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, working with a fellow kindness ambassador, as I say. But kindness for me is a lifestyle. So I can't say when I'm not being kind because I try to do that all the time. I love my pets, which you got to meet Marvin earlier, and my dog Noelle, because she actually helps me bring kindness to people when I'm walking her, which we can talk about that coming up. And when I'm not with them, I have two older sons in their 30s, and we do hiking and kayaking together.
And I asked you before the show, and I already forgot, because I'm like that. I forget a lot. And everybody knows this because I had a brain surgery, which is, I don't know if I can use that excuse for the rest of my life, but I use it a lot. You live, what part of the country do you live in?
I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio.
And is that where you've been born and raised?
I was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, but I've been in Cincinnati over 30 years now.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And
it's beautiful.
How long have you been married? I don't usually ask these questions.
Well, that's okay. Ask. I'm not married.
Oh, you're not married?
I'm not married.
I'm sorry.
I've been divorced for quite some time. Yeah, no, don't worry.
I get it. I'm divorced too, so it's not like something new for me either. But
I was going to say it's not anything. It is what it is.
Yeah, and you have two.
But you are the first person to ever ask me that. I think it's funny.
You have two sons.
I have two sons. Yes, they're in their 30s.
So let me ask you: when it comes to Journey in Kindness. Journey in Kindness. What is the mission for that? What is that all about? And where are you going with that?
Yeah, when I started, I found out it was a journey to kindness because somehow I feel we've lost our way and we're not always kind. And people are, with everything we've got going, everything on our plates, everybody's struggling just to get through the day sometimes, that, saying, okay, now be kind. And they're like, what? So I found out it is a journey, and that's how Journey in Kindness began. And I started with a school shooting back in 2018.
Oh my gosh, which one? Which one? There's so many in this country.
I know, it's sad. Yes. So I'm like, why this one? Who knows? But there are so many, and it's really sad. And I wanted to empower. It was Parkland, Florida, as a matter of fact.
Oh my gosh.
And I wanted to empower the kids to say, the parents are fighting for law changes, policy changes in schools, but I wanted the kids to know you can change something very simply by the way you treat each other. Back to basics.
So you've mentioned a couple of things here. One, kindness can be very general in a sense. Like you mentioned, we're busy. I watch people a lot, and when they go to coffee shops, everybody is like this on their phone, there very few people are kind to the barista. It blows me away. And because we're all just so busy in our heads. So you mentioned that, and then you mentioned about bringing kindness into young people like that have experienced tragic situations like that. So how do you move into that space when you're dealing with such a tragic event? And that's a regular. I mean, the young people today, I can't even imagine what they have to go through. It's very different than when we grew up.
Oh, we had tornado drills here in Ohio. That was it. Maybe a fire drill. That's all we had to worry about. And these kids have got all sorts of drills they have to do these days, which is really sad. And I just wanted the kids to get out of that almost sense of fear that they have to live with every day.
Sure.
To say you've got the power to change. Life does not have to be that way. And Marvin has to go.
Yes, I didn't know what was going on over there. So in your business, Journey in Kindness, is that like a nonprofit? Is it like an LLC? Is it just something you do for?
It's an LLC. I set it up like an LLC.
Yeah, mine's the same way. So what do you? I kind of go all over the place, which is my problem. Yeah, it's like ADHD. I'm like talk about everything. But I'm curious to hear how do you implement this? What are you doing to make a difference with this? Because I love the mission that you have, and it's not an easy one, but nothing is easy. But how do you go about implementing this?
Well, first of all, it is easy. It's easy to be kind, and I think that's one of the emphasis. And I try to get to parents, and I speak to the PTAs, the clubs, and organizations. But I start out that it's simple. It is so simple, Ed. It's smile and hello. And people are like, so what? And I said, we have lost the connective eye-to-eye contact. We're so much involved on our phones all the time. And smile, I'm going to tell you a story because this shows the impact of a smile. This friend of mine retired and got bored, and so went to work at a parking garage. And he said it's the best job he ever had. And he went on vacation for a couple weeks. When he came back, his regular people that park there say, "Where have you been? I've had the worst 2 weeks of my life." And he's like, "What?" He said, "Your good morning and your smile sets my day on a good tone. My whole day goes so much better after I've seen you, said good morning, and seen your smile." And he said, "I never knew. You always talked about the impact, but I never realized just how big an impact he had." He didn't know until it happened to him and people told him. And so I just want to scream at people, do not underestimate the little things, that smile and that good morning. To the barista, be nice to your baristas. We're all in there getting coffee. Be nice to them because, say good morning. Say, how's your day? Ask your barista how they're doing.
This is interesting because I want to tell you something that I talk about a lot. People have probably heard this before. I want to ask you another question about how you're doing this. But when I was in my life, when I was at a place where suicide was what I was considering, my mental health therapist, she said, Ed, you need to stop looking down all the time. You're always looking down. You need to look up, and you need to just say hello to people, smile. And when you're so depressed and you're at the suicidal stage, it's pretty hard to just look up and smile and say hello. But I tried to do that. I started looking up, and I would say, this isn't exactly how it went, but in my head, it felt like this, like a hello, hello. I felt like an idiot, hello. But I was doing my best to say hello to a complete stranger, and 100% of the time, they would look at me and they'd say, they were like, hello. They were kind. Hello, hi. And that really, it just lifted my day up. So I started saying hello all the time. Then I started making, as everybody knows, T-shirts. I'm not wearing one today. I've made all kinds of different kindness T-shirts, which everybody's asking me for now, which I'm going to be putting up, getting coffee cups and t-shirts and hats about kindness that people are asking for. But when I would wear the shirts and I would be, suffering from depression, whenever you wear a shirt that says something, you usually forget that you're wearing it. And so someone would say something to me about my shirt and it would snap me out of my depression, and I would have to answer them with whatever they asked me about my shirt said. So it was a very powerful thing to do. It really helped change my life. So I like what you say when it's just simply looking up and saying hello to people, saying hi. And I literally live my life that way now.
I want to ask you a question on that then.
Yeah.
Have you ever had the experience of saying hi to somebody and they look at you like you're crazy? Like, you're speaking to me?
Yeah. Yes,
and doesn't that make you sad that somebody is so shocked that they were acknowledged, that their existence was acknowledged? I found that
it doesn't make me sad. I think it depends. It depends on who you are. I have it's a big story, but I don't get sad. How can I answer this? I have bipolar. I've been bipolar for decades. My I was going to say social media, not social media. My what did I just call it? Unbelievable. The disorder I have when it comes to people.
Bipolar?
Pardon me?
You said bipolar earlier.
Yes. See, now that there is a huge issue for me. That's part recovery from brain surgery. I think that's all recovery from brain surgery. And it's frustrating. It doesn't bother me, but it's just there. But that's how I would trigger. So for me, it was a whole lot. A way different reaction than just being sad or disappointed or just like, I wonder why that happened. For me, sometimes I want to do damage in the situation. But it's not quite like that anymore. But let me ask you, give us an example of a school, for example, that you've worked with, or an organization where you've implemented what you have. Because I'm curious as to the implementation process. You've said, you tell people to say, to look up and say hello. But I mean, there must be a process you have for these young people to how to walk into this arena of kindness in the midst of the wildness and craziness that we have in their lives.
Well, I just say keep it simple. And I start with the parents. And I said, before your kid even leaves the house in the morning, put the sticky note on their bathroom mirror. You're awesome. You're important. You're smart.
That's huge. I like that.
Yeah. And then they've got the big math test coming up. Stick a note in their backpack saying, you've got this. Just those words. So before they even set foot out of the house, they're on a good note. They're on a good road. And 9 times out of 10, they'll be able to share that kindness with other people when you're setting them out on that high road. And, even I say your significant other, put a note out by their coffee mug. I appreciate.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So now you're all, you've sent your family out the door with kindness, and the chances of them continuing that are huge. And that's why I said, keep it simple. Start there. Start saying hi to your bus driver. Maybe give cookies or something to the bus driver, once a week or something, send him a little card, a little note. Thank you. I appreciate your service.
That is so huge.
Taking me to school.
That sounds so little, like whatever, teeny tiny, but that is absolutely huge. It is absolutely huge.
And don't forget the invisible people. And this is a big thing.
When kids get friends. I've got many invisible
friends. I'm talking your custodian at your school, your cafeteria worker. They have such a huge service, and you would miss them if they weren't there. But how many people say hi to them? How you doing? Say that to them. Send them a little note. Those kind of things add up, and there's proof. And that's the other thing, because I was at the store earlier today, and she goes, well, yeah, that all sounds nice, but people are really mean. They're not going to do it. I said, well, guess what?
Isn't that something? Isn't that a response? That's incredible.
I was just like, so I said, guess what?
Yeah.
I got studies. And she's like, uh-oh. There are studies that prove that when you and I exchange an act of kindness, our serotonin levels go up.
That's right.
Our
That's
happy
right.
hormones, our happy hormones.
Now we're
But,
talking. It's true.
and the fun thing, if anybody watches that, observes that, their serotonin levels go up
That's
too.
right. That's right.
So you've heard this too, so you know.
Oh,
So
I've heard it, man. I live it. I live it in a big way. Did you see the clip I put up a couple of weeks ago about bumping into the elderly lady? Did you see that?
no, I missed that one.
Oh,
I
you
missed it.
gotta
I'm
go.
going to
You
go
gotta
back
take
and
a look
watch
at
it.
this. So I was in I made a clip. So, like, as soon as I got out of the grocery store, I got in my car. I immediately made the clip because you won't. Yeah, I want to catch myself in my own emotions, right? And so I'm in the grocery store, and everybody's like, doing stuff and whatever. And this lady, I'm standing in line at the cash register. And this lady bumps into me, and she's an elderly lady. And I turned over, and I wasn't even thinking. I just wasn't thinking about nothing. I looked at her and I said, "So do you want to fight?" I just. And the look on her face and the people around me were like, uh-oh, like we've got a wacko here. But I immediately said, like I said, you want to fight? Or do you want to give me a hug? I said, because I prefer a hug. And it cracked her up. And the people that were there, it was so funny. She goes, oh, I'll give you a hug. And so think about that, right? So there she gave me a hug, and everybody, it was just a really great moment. And it suited my personality because she wasn't offended, but it was just a surprise. And I surprised myself. I never expected to say that. I thought if I'm going to say something that mean, I got to say something. I got to say something really nice. But it was incredible because she felt very worried that she bumped into somebody. She goes, I'm so sorry. And I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm thinking, big deal. So the reason why I went, the way I did, because she felt so fearful. I said, "Do you want to fight, or do you want to give me a hug?" And I mean, to live that way is. I mean, now you think about when people went home that day that saw that. Absolutely, that went out somewhere. So I love what you're doing.
No, and I think, that's a great story because when you make this kindness as natural as breathing, which you and I are trying to get everyone to do, then you get into those sticky, awkward situations like you were in. And one of my things I tell people to use is humor. And that was a perfect example that you were able to use humor to diffuse that, because she could have been, a whole different way. And
Yes.
so I think that's great. And I think everybody that watched that was like, well, okay, they were like, ooh, but then we're like, oh, okay. This is great.
It was wonderful. So, okay. So when I still want to see, like, do you literally go into schools and you're able to teach?
Yeah, I do, but I have kind of switched my focus to the parents. I still would go into a school
I like
no
that.
problem.
I like that. Yeah.
But I really think because you're the example. You are supposed to be imitating God the Father, and your kids imitate you and ultimately God the Father. So what are you doing? And that's because I'm thinking this, we need to go back and you read what some of the people are posting on the website, on their social media, and your kids are making sure you're not posting about them. So they're still reading it.
Sure.
And they're saying, well, if they can post that, I can post that. And no. So change your example. What are you posting? What are you saying at soccer practice to other parents? Or about other parents? And your kids hear that. Your kids hear all of that. And so I like to go speak to the parents and say, let's start out small. The smile and the hello, the sending your kids and spouses off out of the house on a good note, returning the cart in the cart corral at the grocery store instead of leaving it in the middle of a parking space, holding that door, the please and thank you, all those little things. And then it can elevate then to, let's get the basketball team together and do a food drive. I don't know, Colorado, Ohio, the food pantries are low right now after the holidays. We need to restock them.
It's everywhere. I volunteer in a food bank every Saturday.
Oh, there you go. See, and so we do a food drive. You can organize that. Once you're making it as natural as breathing, then that food drive organization is going to be nothing. It's going to be a snack. Or new socks for the homeless. I had a women's group do that, and they were stunned how much response they received. I'm sorry, I don't remember how many thousands of pairs of socks they were able to donate to
thousands
their.
of pairs, a lot, right there.
Yeah, it is. It's
Good for
huge. But that's just because 5 women got together and said, yes, we're going to do this.
So let me ask you, in the because we got around 10 minutes here. I want to get to some key questions. So in the next, let's say in the next, definitely next 12 months, and then like to the next, like long term, like 2 to 5 years. Where do you want to go with this? Is there something you really want to see happen?
Oh my gosh, yes, because we talked about how there are studies that prove that this does change the way your mind works and you're happier. And that my thing is, if we're all just focusing on just our little corner of the world, we're creating that ripple of kindness. And if everyone is doing it, those ripples are going to merge together and create a wave of kindness that's going to wash across this country and around the world. And I know we can do it. We just have to be intentional about it and put forth a little effort, not a huge effort. And I'm not saying, your plate is too full. I'm saying start with the everyday little stuff, and then you can get to the bigger stuff, and it'll be easier. And then when you get in sticky situations, you're going to be able to respond in a kind way versus our knee-jerk way that we usually do. Yeah. So and my goal is just to get out there and talk to the parents, talk to the kids, and make a difference. So
you definitely want this to go nationwide.
Oh gosh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that. Well, we definitely need that.
Yeah.
What would you say then? Give me one example of what's really working well for you with how you're growing and expanding this, and then what you're struggling in. What is giving you the challenge to overcome? Because every business we have, everything we're doing always has the pros and cons. So share that with us, and then people that are listening can, my goal is to see people that are inspired by what you're saying and would like to reach out and work with you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people say, yes, this is so great. I love what you're doing. I said, well, I'd love to come speak to your group. And I don't hear anything. So I do like, oh gosh, but I'm like, because they're all for it. They're all in it. They're like, we're all in. And I said, well, okay, let me come and speak. And it's like, and I'm thinking, why? I don't understand.
Right.
I don't get that, but that's okay. That's okay. Because I am getting out. I'm doing an online conference on Stop Bullying come March 1st, which is going to be
Stop
exciting.
Bullying. I've done that. I focused on adult bullying because adults didn't realize they were bullies. And because I was being bullied by adults. I was literally being bullied by friends of mine when I went through my court case suing the Canadian government through the Supreme Court. I literally had guys that I grew up with that thought, oh, it must be nice to sue the government and make money. I'm like, you got like, I went berserk. You think that's what I'm doing? You got to be kidding me. And so I researched bulliness from adults, where that comes from.
Oh yeah.
And he didn't bully me anymore because I was posting and I told me you shouldn't do that. And then he sent me a direct message, and he was mouthing himself off and being like unbelievable. So I took that post, cut it, and pasted it in social media. And I said, if you ever decide to bully someone, be very careful where you put it and what you say, because this guy here, and his name was there, I didn't take it out, this is what he said to me. And then everything went berserk. Yeah, I had so many people supporting me. It was awesome. And then he got so angry he knew he couldn't say anything, because if he did, it's going to come out. And I'm not afraid to come out. Put anything out you want about me. I'm all over the internet too. You better be ready for what you say to someone, private or public, because they can. Yeah, that was a whole episode for me. That was awesome. I'm glad to hear that's what you mentioned that. So what would be, so that's a challenge. And I understand that for sure, because everybody's busy. I always say that, busy.
Yeah. Yes,
And then,
yes, absolutely. And And I'm doing a conference in April.
Oh,
It's a
nice.
Christian conference down in Orlando. And that's more about Christian education and how we can get myself and another we're partnering to do that.
Do you have things that people can download or buy or get, or because I know you have YouTube, which I think YouTube is a great place to
Yes.
to
Yep. You've got
be.
my YouTube. But for your audience, I am offering a 75 acts of kindness checklist. So if people are like, what do I do? Where do I start? This checklist they can download for free. And you
Nice.
have so we'll make sure the link is out there for them. But
Absolutely.
it's something that they can look at and maybe pick one a day or one a week, or get with their kids and say, hey, would you like to do something? And again, it graduates from the simple smile and hello all the way up to planting trees in the park to be kind to the planet.
I like that. That's in front of them to see,
Yeah.
instead of just looking at their phone and just
Yes.
have it where
Yeah.
they can put it on the fridge or on the mirror or something like that. I think that's a good thing. We'll do that.
And then I have my book too. That is it goes through the whole process and it's quick, it's easy, it's just quick read, short and sweet, but it's out there on Amazon as well.
Nice. And I don't remember if I asked you this already, but how long have you been doing this? Because I think you mentioned, I can't remember.
I started Temper in 2018, but I really got going in 2019 with a 21-day kindness challenge on Facebook.
Interesting. Yeah, it takes time. Whenever we start something, it takes time we think about, we sometimes change and then we decide what we're going to do. I mean, I'm literally deciding to do visible kindness all the way this year. And I've had it there for a while. I've had a lot of things hanging around and I decided I really, really want to do this. So that's, I'm on the same page as you.
And the needs and the things change and evolve is what I found. And, I had the process and people were like, write it down. And I was
I see.
Okay. So the book came out of it. And then I wanted to really hit the kids. But then I found out, I think we better start with the parents because what they emulate, what they model really impacts kids. So,
Teresa,
it's an evolution.
It is, and it is so needed. I enjoy doing this more than I ever have before, because it's just become something that has just risen up out of a lot of mud that's in the world today on so many levels. I don't talk about.
Is this not the best job you've ever had? That's what I said. This is like the greatest thing I think I've ever done.
Yes, yeah, me too. And it's not something that's going to go out of what's the term I'm looking for? Like VHS tapes are no longer in need. Kindness will always be in need. Always. And we will need more and more of it. As usual, it's so great having people like you come on this show and do this with me. As we come to the end, is there anything you would like to say to people on the kindness level or anything at all that you'd like to leave with them?
I love that. I think people have to remember, no matter that personal pain, it's as unique as a fingerprint. You never know what somebody's going through. So always be kind.
I loved it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on the show. And we had some scheduling challenges. I love what you're doing. And I look forward to connecting going forward too, because that's what I'm doing right now is but connecting with a lot of people in, I don't know what you call it, the kindness industry, to connect and promote and help each other make a difference. So I'm going to put all of your information that people want to be able to connect with, obviously in the podcast, when it's on audio and on YouTube as well. And thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed our conversation.